Hello everyone and welcome back to Politics Now. We're talking about modern politics and modern America, and today we are going to be discussing why DeSantis 2024 is basically dead, and honestly, DeSantis just drop out. It's not worth it anymore. You're embarrassing yourself. So yeah, let's get into that. So, DeSantis has not been having a good time recently, where he was sort of floating around 20 and not really managing to get above that. He would dip and then go back up and then dip and then go back up. But recently he's been dipping, but he hasn't really been going back up, and he's reaching all-time lows, and he hasn't been this low since pretty much the start of this poll, where he is down here in the 18-point range, and it's not looking too good for him. And there's no signs that he'll be recovering back to even around 20 or 22, where Trump is still way high up there, and he's still polling around 53, and he dipped a little bit, but now he's perfectly back up, and he's doing pretty fine, while DeSantis is going further and further down. And if you look at the trend, it's just going down and down and down, while a lot of these other candidates are gaining on him, and especially Ramaswamy. He came out of nowhere, and now he's in third place, where he's actually threatening DeSantis's place at second place, where you know, you might have Ramaswamy take over DeSantis, and DeSantis might fall into the 5 or 6 point category, where even Mike Pence might overtake him, because that's a real possibility that a lot of these other candidates could overtake him, because his campaign is just going so horribly and he's losing so much support. And these candidates are gaining support because a lot of the people supporting DeSantis also are the people who would support these other candidates down here. Maybe not Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy is more so Trump voters who would support him, but all these other candidates, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Mike Pence, those are going to be supported once DeSantis loses all of his donors, when they all inevitably realize, oh yeah, our guy isn't going to win out, so let's jump ship and hop onto our other backup candidates. And it's not going to work. They tried that in 2016. It still didn't work because, you know, their main candidate, Jeb Bush, he did not work out. So they just hopped on every other candidate with a hope that they would have a shot at winning. They all lost. They didn't win, and Trump won the nomination. And that will be a similar thing here, where you have all these other candidates. They have their front runner, and when that fails, they're going to jump ship onto all these other candidates, trying to build them up so that they can win. But the thing that's different is Trump has such a massive lead on everybody else that even if they jump ship, you're not going to make that up. Like, there was a time during 2016 where Trump was actually in second and third place pretty deep into the campaign, because Tim Scott got a bit of a boost, and then it was like, I think it was I think Chris Christie got a boost, which kind of took a little bit of a vote away from him, that he got knocked down to second place. But honestly, with a 34-point lead over your main rival, it's not going to look well for DeSantis losing all the support, because he's the only one with any sort of possibility of actually securing the nomination outside of Trump, where all these other candidates are also losing to this complete and utter nobody who nobody really knew him before, but now he's in third place, and he's basically a pro-Trump candidate who's pretty much playing for a cabinet position. He's probably not going to be vice president, but he'll get a cabinet position probably, because honestly, out of all these candidates, Trump isn't really on good terms with any of them. Maybe Tim Scott, but yeah, outside of that and Ramaswamy, none of these people are getting anywhere in the cabinet or even vice president. And honestly, it's going to look pretty ugly for DeSantis and all these other candidates going forward, because DeSantis is losing more and more support, and he doesn't seem to be getting back up. Where now, in the most pro-DeSantis states, Utah and Florida, he's losing. And if you look at the Florida polls, Trump plus 20, Trump plus 8, Trump plus 3. As time goes on, it it gets more and more Trump, and that leads you a spread with 10.3 points for Trump. And if that's your own state and you are the popular governor of that, then if you are losing to your main opponent by 20 points or even 8 points, that's not good for you. That means that your campaign is such an utter disaster that people in your own state who support you, and you would assume that they would support you way more than the other candidates, Trump is beating you. You are losing by 20 points in your own state, and a lot of these more recent polls show that Trump is gaining support as your campaign is dying and dying and dying, and it's just completely on fire and a complete dumpster fire. It's a train wreck because honestly, DeSantis, he's lost so much support and he's only been going further and further down, where now he's at 18 points. That's not good. If you're going to win the nomination, you can't be at your all-time low since the start of that this even before your campaign started, when you haven't even announced, where that's even before the midterms. That's last year. And that's not very good, especially if you were at your all-time high of almost 31 points, and then you've gone down so far that you're now threatening to give up your second place position to nobody who nobody has ever heard of until now. That's not good. You're going to lose the candidacy. You're going to lose your political power. You're going to lose any chance of having a political future, and you're going to be stuck here constantly running for president, but only getting like 3% of the vote, where you don't have enough support anymore because everyone has abandoned you because you've clearly shown that you cannot win a nomination. And your political judgment is not that good because nobody's political judgment is good if they throw their hat in a ring when they're at, what, 20%, and also they throw their hat in a ring for the person that endorsed them and is also a very popular candidate and is a former president who kind of was supposed to take this race and then you were going to be the successor, but you had to jump the gun way too early, and look at that now. You're now in 18, you now have 18 points and you're almost in third place. So he clearly surrounds himself with people who do not know how to run a campaign, or he just doesn't know how to run a campaign, because he can do the governorship well. He's a good governor, but that doesn't mean that you'll be a good president. And that's pretty much the main problem for DeSantis. He is a good governor, he's not a good president. You can't be a good governor and then automatically, I'm good at being a president, because then everyone else who's a governor would take a shot at being a president. And you have a ton of these competent governors who most people just assume would be a great candidate for president. It's not going to work out. It's kind of like Ted Cruz. Bad example because most people hate Ted Cruz, but you have these great governors and great senators and great representatives, and you have these great people who are great at their position, but would they be a good president? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't be a good president at all. And you have these people who think that they would be a good president because, oh, I'm so good at this and I can get a lot of support like this in my own state for a very minor position. I'm going to run for president. And it's a completely different ball game because not only are you not in your own state, where he might be in a state where pretty much if you run for this specific party, you just automatically win. Like there's no competition at all. You basically could do absolutely nothing. And say I was a Republican in Wyoming, I wouldn't really need to do anything to win the nomination or even the governorship or the Senate race or the House race, I wouldn't need to do anything because it would be so easy. And honestly, if you think that winning that means that, oh, I'm going to be a great president because obviously they're the same thing, that's not right. It's a completely different version of a campaign because there's more effort put in, there's more money put in, it's a different climate, and also it's a much tougher time and a much tougher election. You need to, one, beat out all of your opponents in your own party, which is also very hard, and beat the main opponent in your from the other party, which is extremely hard, especially when politics is so polarized right now, where pretty much everyone on the other side will automatically hate you because you're on one side, and you can't have moderation, which is kind of what DeSantis is doing, where he's running a moderate campaign within his own party. That's not going to work. If tiptoeing around every single issue, sort of the neocon rhino strategy of if I just play moderate for everything, people from both sides will automatically vote for me. But we know that doesn't work because you're a Republican. Democrats are going to automatically hate you because you're a Republican, and trying to appeal to those voters while basically saying fuck you to your base, it's not going to work out, and you're just going to end up appealing to nobody and lose the nomination and lose the race. Where you have DeSantis being the perfect example. He's playing the moderate. He's associating himself with neocons and rhinos. And look where that's got him. He's at 18 points, and his campaign is a complete train wreck. And the only people who are saying that he can win are basically diehard DeSantis supporters. And a lot of them even admit that he can't win. So, yeah, DeSantis, I've said this in every video about him. Just drop out. It's not worth it. Give up. It's game over. You're done. You're just done. Just stop. It's embarrassing. Just why? Why do you need to continue? It's not worth it anymore. You're just destroying any future and completely destroying any political foresight that you may have had by running and continuing to run. Where you might we you might need to sacrifice you winning a nomination which you will never win for a united party and for Republicans to win the White House. So just drop out. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. So leave your comments below if you think that DeSantis could win. Probably won't. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.